Warning. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976, allowance is made for fair use, for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use.
If we were white, if we were Irish, if we were Jewish, if we were Poles, if we had, in fact, in your mind, a frame of reference, our heroes would be your heroes too. Nat Turner would be a hero for you instead of a threat. Malcolm X might still be alive. And everyone is very proud of brave little Israel, a state against which I have nothing. I don't want to be misinterpreted. I'm not an anti-Semite. But when the Israelis pick up guns, or the Poles, or the Irish, or any white man in the world says, "Give me liberty or give me death," the entire white world applauds. When a black man says exactly the same thing, word for word, he is judged a criminal and treated like one, and everything possible is done to make an example of this bad nigger so there won't be any more like him.
What it do, family and friends? Welcome back to the Church of Black Power. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button along with the notification bell so you'll be notified whenever videos like this drop. Please make sure you're hitting that like and share button so we can beat up the algorithm. Make sure we get this message out to the ears that need to hear. And if you have not done so yet, please click that link in the description, go to change.org and put your signature on the petition for reparations. And with that being said, family, it's another one. We got another one, family. I don't know what it is. Actually, I have a theory, but we'll put a pin in that. I don't know what it is about these people who feel like it's just okay to come out spreading not only false narratives, but just blatant lies about our ancestors, about the people that we idolize, the people we hold in high esteem within the foundational Black American community. It's becoming very evident to me that there is a push for something. And what there's a push for, you know what? We're going to put a pin in it. We're going to get back to that a little bit later. Let me first give a shout out and salute to everybody in the chat. So B1 Shalom and a certified B1 salute to Black Spider, our sister Hurricane Nisi, Aquarius Minded, Reparations Nation, Jesse Paris, Retro Gemini 99, Mia Kim, Black Are You, Torian Reigns Reloaded, Marvin C, Brother Reef, and Priscilla Taylor, William Arrett, Cruel Reality. I'd like to thank each and every one of you for being here, family. I appreciate you taking the time out. Also, B1 salute. Much love and appreciation to Marvin C for the cash. Excuse me, for the super chat. Much love to you, family. Your donation is blessed tenfold. I appreciate your contribution. All right, family, we got to get into this because do you guys remember when Dr. Ifan Tunde's daughter came out and basically called him out and talked about how he was her estranged father. He really don't want to talk to her. Or she tried to reach out and all this other stuff. There was a young lady that came out who basically was doing it to corroborate the young lady's story. But one lady came out to describe her interactions with Dr. Umar. And so I would like to go there real quick. Do you guys remember this lady? I'm going to give you just a little bit. We're not going to play the whole video, but I'm going to play just a little bit.
I've known Dr. Umar for 3 years. I met him when I was 24 years old. And this is a recent picture. We just met in June of last year. And we did discuss his children along with a few other things. We met up at Brandywine Diner on Concord Pike last year. And because he wanted to take me out to lunch, and I kind of wanted to talk about like, just have a conversation with him regarding like Black content creators on TikTok and social media. So while we're talking, we talk about religion, we talk about racism in America, we talk about secret societies, because that was really my peak of interest. So we first started off by talking about why he was in Wilmington again. He's always going to his school in Wilmington, Delaware, because...
Okay, that's enough. We don't need the whole video there, because this isn't about Ifan Tunde. This is about this young lady right here. This young lady made an incredibly ignorant statement, and she said it with her whole damn chest. Now, since then, she has been called out on it, and she's deleted the video, and I had to scour the internet in order to find it, to present it to you guys here today, but I found it. You ain't gonna get rid of it that quickly. Other people posted it to other sites, so it was very, I don't want to say easy to find, because I went through a couple of sites. I should have went to the first one that was on my mind, which was Instagram. Instagram, for some reason, had it. X didn't have it. She eliminated it from TikTok, but we got it here today. Salute to Cooking with Miss D. Thank you for being here, family. So let's get right on into it. Let's get into the crime at hand. And that's right, family. Crime. It's a crime. Let's go.
Ever since I found out Harriett Tubman is not a real person, it fucked me up. I'm not gonna lie. Because her real name is Araminta Ross. And she was a spy for the United States government. Her real name, Araminta, is not connected to the Harriett Tubman. And Sojourner Truth's real name is Isabella Bumfrey. Same thing, was also a spy. Yeah, if they were published in American history and it was Black history, they were spies, bro. They've been trafficking people. Underground. It's all underground. And they want us to look up and idolize these people. Oh, well, they look just like me, so I must look up to them. Stop that shit immediately. Because if they're talking about it, raving about this person's bravery, don't fucking trust it. They probably fucked over Black America. Due to that manipulation alone, I believe that we should separate ourselves. Because if the government is hiring these actors pretending to do good in the community and they're actually doing harm, that's very harmful. To weaponize education is evil at its highest. Mother Teresa too. It's like she was renowned for being this sweet woman, and really she's not sweet at all. She was starving them kids. She was also abusive. But they're not going to talk about that because these people already have foundations and museums and schools named after them and streets. It's all a fucking act. And I'm glad to see people are starting to. When you start lying about history to fit your narrative, that to me automatically should be a war. Not a war with violence, but a war in saying that it's time to separate ourselves. Because we deserve a society with the truth. And if we have to build it and put in work, I'm willing to do it. It's going to get worse with time. Because it's going to go from manipulating history to manipulating you in the present moment, which you're doing right now already. And it's just going to continue to spiral because there's no one checking these people. Or there's people who are afraid to bring up an alternative society. People don't want to.
Okay, family. Now you know what we got to do. We gotta break that down. We got to slow roast this. This has to be slow roast. And I seen a lot of you going off in the chat already. Y'all already know where this is going. She's on some clown stuff. Absolutely. But let's hear her out once again. This would be the last time because I don't want the stupid to rub off on nobody. I know everybody here got their dumb repellent on them. Spray a little bit on you. Sage yourself down, because this right here, this was some retarded stuff if I ain't never heard it. And I rarely use the R word. But this was retarded. Block me if you want to, YouTube. This right here has to be called what it is. All right, let's go.
Ever since I found out Harriett Tubman is not a real person, it fucked me up. I'm not gonna lie. Because her real name is Araminta Ross.
So right now, what you just did was contradict yourself off the back. You just said Harriett Tubman wasn't a real person, but yet you then turn around and say, oh, her real name was Araminta Ross. Okay. Well, if she had a real name, then that must mean that she was a real person. Right? Because a fake person wouldn't have a real name. Okay. That's one. Two, what does her changing her name have to do with whether she existed or not? When there are many books and scholarships that talk about her life before she became Harriett Tubman. And then she also mentioned Sojourner Truth. Hold on.
And she was a spy for the United States government. Her real name, Araminta, is not connected to the Harriett Tubman. And Sojourner Truth's real name is Isabella Bumfrey.
Okay. So one of the main reasons, salute to Affectionate Earth, thank you for being here, family. One of the main reasons that formerly enslaved people would change their names, I know you all have heard of this, is because of the Slave Fugitive Act. They were fugitives. When you ran away from a plantation, you became a fugitive. And so they would go around looking for you by name that you were listed as property under. This is well-known information. So no ex-slave who has a price on their head have the slave catchers looking for them. No slave would have kept their name that they had on the plantation. So this is why you see a lot of people who were ex-slaves, who was a part of the Underground Railroad, changed their names legally so that they would not be taken back into captivity. And when you speak about her name being Araminta Ross, I spoke about plenty of publications. Her nickname was Minty. And this is one of the books, Minty, a story of a young Harriett Tubman. So, you know, people's ignorance are being placed on full display, but I don't think that is ignorance. I think that is more deliberate. It's more sinister than just being ignorant. And when we get to that segment, I may explain why. But let's go back here. Got to remove you and pull you back up.
Same thing, was also a spy. Yeah, if they were published in American history and it was Black history.
Do you guys notice how she says, oh, they were spies? Salute and shout out to Astarte Jones. Thank you for being here, family. They were spies for the American government. Well, yeah, they were spies for the Union, who was fighting to abolish slavery in the South. Whether we agree with their reasonings or not, that's what they were fighting for. So yeah, Harriet Tubman and many other people who were on the Underground Railroad became spies for the North, which gave them the ability and resources to go back into the South to help more people. So I don't even know why she threw up she was a spy, as if that was supposed to be something that nobody knew. But it's very interesting that she's trying to make that whole situation look like, yeah. Salute to you. Thank you for being here, family.
They were spies, bro. They've been trafficking people.
So now the freeing of slaves, she's considering trafficking. Going into a territory to save people who are being enslaved and bring them to a location and area where they won't have to deal with that nonsense. That's trafficking, ladies and gentlemen. Ain't that some stuff? Shout out to Drew. Thank you for your Cashapp, family. I appreciate your donation, and your contribution is blessed tenfold. But this is what this woman is basically tossing out there. Shout out MD Williams. Thank you for being here, family.
Underground. It's all underground.
And she also believes that the Underground Railroad was actually underground. So they were trafficking people underground to get them their freedom, she's saying. Jesus God. Who is she needs to turn in her locks. She's giving them a bad name. Now, she's not giving us a bad name. We got to start questioning where your people from. But we're going to get to that.
And they want us to look up and idolize these people. Oh, well, they look just like me, so I must look up to them. Stop that shit immediately. Because if they're talking about it, raving about this person's bravery, don't fucking trust it. They probably fucked over Black America. Due to that manipulation alone, I believe that we should separate ourselves. Because if the government is hiring these...
Notice how she's trying to take something that she came to her own conclusion on and say, oh, well, knowing that this is happening, we should separate ourselves. And she's not talking about delineation as in delineating from other groups. No. She's talking about separating ourselves from the government, from the country in which our ancestors built. That's what she's talking about when she says separating ourselves.
Actors pretending to do good in the community, and they're actually doing harm. That's very harmful.
So she just called the majority or the bulk or the all of Black leaders in our history actors. This is what she's saying.
To weaponize education is evil at its highest. Mother Teresa, too. It's like she was renowned for being the sweet woman, and really she's not sweet at all.
Now, notice what she just did there, family. She just tried to put Mother Teresa and Harriet Tubman in the same conversation. She's trying to make a one-to-one comparison to something that absolutely is not a one-to-one comparison. Mother Teresa, working with the whole Catholic Church and them doing child trafficking and child raping and all that, that is totally different from Harriet Tubman, a person who literally was a pillar in getting us to where we are today. There is no way you can make a one-to-one comparison on that. unless you're taking powerful drugs. What kind of powerful drugs do you guys think that she's taking for her to make these statements? Because she got to be on something. She got to be on something. Or she got to be pushing something.
She was starving them kids. She was also abusive. But they're not going to talk about that because these people already have foundations and museums and schools named after them and streets. It's all a fucking act. And I'm glad to see people are starting to. When you start lying about history to fit your narrative, that to me automatically should be a war. Not a war with violence, but a war in saying that it's.
No, she's not the one that said Harriett was a traitor. I didn't even come across that. Thank you for putting that on my radar. I'm going to go and look for that.
Time to separate ourselves because we deserve a society with the truth. And if we have to build it and put in work, I'm willing to do it. It's going to get worse with time because it's going to go from manipulating history.
Are you saying she's a Pan-Mexican? Is she a Pan-Mexican? Oh, Jesus. Dr. Umar then started some new stuff.
To manipulating you in the present moment, which you're doing right now already. And it's just going to continue to spiral because there's no one checking these people. Or there's people who are afraid to bring up an alternative society. People don't want to.
Salute still, Kevin Cheeries. Thank you for being here, family. Yeah, family, she's smoking on something. She's smoking on something, or she's pushing something. And my hindsight, my gut has been telling me for a while that there's been a lot of things being pushed. But I want to go over here to my brother Walt. Salute to him. I played him on the channel before. Name Formula Poet. Let's go here. Family, Harriett Tubman was given the nickname by the white media, the Moses of the Negroes. All this stuff is easily Googleable. But yet, there's no sound. Can you guys not hear me? Put a 1 in the chat if you guys can hear me. Put a 2 in the chat if there's no sound. Put a 1 in the chat if you can. Okay, you can hear me. All right, bet. Much appreciated. There's sound now. There was no sound coming from the video, you guys are saying? Is it just the video you guys can't hear? Okay, not before. You guys can hear it now. Okay, cool. Basically, what I was saying is all this stuff is Googleable. God dang, it must be the puke tube playing around with us. Salute to Angelic. Thank you for being here, my sister. Hula Gang, thank you for being here, family. Willie McKinley, thank you for being here, family. All right, want to make sure I got everybody. Yeah, but all this stuff is Googleable. And so what it's telling me is that these people, because she's not the only one. She's not the only one. A lot of people have been coming out taking shots, very ignorant shots, as if there isn't, one, all these documents on file that we can just pull up, and two, all these articles and firsthand accounts that we could just pull up. Salute to I Am Kiera. Thank you for being here, family. But this also shows me that these people really don't do no research. Somebody brought up Dan Calloway. And I don't know if this is some Dan Calloway stuff, because I don't listen to the dude. I don't listen to Dan Calloway. I heard about him. People tell me about what he says, things like that. But I think he said something along the lines that Harriett didn't exist as well. And when somebody told me that, I was like, yeah, I don't need to talk. I don't need to hear nothing from this guy at all. Dan Calloway, to me, it just screamed of Kanye West. And I'm talking without the bipolarism. At least I can hold him accountable for the nonsense he's saying. As somebody who has a family member who's bipolar, I understand that bipolar people say a lot of crazy stuff all the damn time. So I can at least give Kanye that. Dan Calloway, I can't give that to. I just got to be 100% real. I want to go here, family, because I want to show the family calling out the nonsense.
So there's a Black woman that came on here saying that she found out that Harriett Tubman is not a real person. And that is the fastest that I've ever reported a post for misinformation. A lot of you Negroes are the...
Hey, 100% salute to this queen. She said, and that was the fastest I've ever reported anything for misinformation. Much love to her on that.
That came on. So there's a Black woman that came on here saying that she found out that Harriett Tubman is not a real person. And that is the fastest that I've ever reported a post for misinformation. A lot of you Negroes are the ones that Carter G. Woodson was afraid were going to be miseducated and indoctrinated. The idea that Harriett Tubman is not real because she was birthed by a different name is wild to me. So Muhammad Ali is not real. El-Hajj El-Malik Shabazz is not real. Y'all do know Sojourner Truth was not born Sojourner Truth, right? Folks can claim that the school system dropped the ball, but I blame a lot of y'all's parents too. Because even a third grade social studies class would have taught you that enslaved folks that fled to freedom, that escaped, had a bounty on their head because they were considered property. They generated profit for their enslavers. So as a result, their slave masters and mistresses kept a manifest, a recording of their names. So by changing their names, it kept them safe. The same Black woman in that same video came on here to say that Harriett Tubman should not be considered a hero. It is as a result of that woman's work as a spy for the Union that she fought for gender equality. You know who else was a spy? Josephine Baker, who fought against...
I'm gonna be honest with you, family. I had to pause it there. Anytime someone say our elders was fighting for gender equality at any point, I gotta stop and give a caveat. No, what she was fighting for was the freedom of her people, which led to situations of gender equality because she was the only woman doing, well, one of the only women doing what she was doing as a spy. Let's be very clear about that. But the goal was not gender equality. The goal was freedom for her people. So I got to make sure that I put that in as a caveat. The sister was spitting until she said that. Let me roll it back just a little bit.
Fought for gender equality. You know who else was a spy? Josephine Baker, who fought against the Yazidis. And you sit here as a Black woman with other ignorant ass Black people in your comment, while the current administration is currently desecrating Black American history.
Family, this is a great comment. As somebody who's from LA, from Watts, I'm going to tell you like this. This is a wonderful comment. You never gave slave catchers your real name, even today. Do you know that foundational Black Americans are like the #1 group that will give a false name to the police if they're afraid? That's just what it is. In LA, that's all people used to do. And if they got away with it, they got away with it. But I got many of friends who's been locked up for giving a false name, false identification. Let's go here, family.
Ever since I found out Harriett Tubman is not a real person,
Salute to that brother. That's what we need to do a lot more often with these people. After, of course, they get called out on it. This brother went right off the back. He ain't even waste no time.
ever since I found out Harriett Tubman is not a real person,
Oh my God. It's the people that were in the comments too, man. It's sad out here, bro. To have that type of platform and to share that type of misinformation, it's scary, man. I don't think we ever go win. I don't, like, as much as I.
And again, family, gotta drop off a caveat. I rocking with him until he said, "Well, I don't think we ever gonna win." We don't do those hopeless Negroes. We don't do that. We don't call out people and then sit here and say no dumb stuff like, "See, this is the problem with Black folk." Because to tell you the truth, we don't even know if this person is a part of our lineage. We don't even know if this person is even tied to us in any shape, form, or fashion. So why are we even having this conversation about the rest of Black people who are calling her out? Salute to Stell. Thank you for being here, family. Also, salute to Damon Reeves. Thank you for being here, my brother. Shalom to you. And salute to our family, Armageddon. Thank you for being here, family.
I educate people, much as I see other people educating people. Share some common knowledge, and then try that's an agent. That's the spy right there.
Now, family, I gotta agree with him there. A lot of these people are coming with that agent activity, coming with that agent energy. They're trying to find any reason to try to downplay or denigrate our legends. But let's get back.
For our well-being. Common knowledge that Harriett Tubman became a spy. It's common knowledge. We all can Google it. Her nickname was Minty. When she ran, she changed her name. That's what a lot of people who fled and found freedom, they changed their name. It's crazy how people still don't believe chattel slavery existed. And that's why I don't like everybody celebrating Juneteenth. To besmirch the name of Harriett Tubman is crazy. Crazy. These, like, we got, and once again, education is not the forefront as well. I don't care what type of education it is as well. Misinformation. It was just a Black dude talking about the type of misinformation out here that people be sharing, and it's just it's an infection.
Let's go here, family.
It was a little funny when we were saying Helen Keller wasn't real. It was a little funny, but Harriett Tubman was very much real. I keep getting this comment. She only saved her family and friends. Quickly, true or false? True, but she saved 70 family and friends. Harriet's own husband tried to snitch on her. She wasn't letting any snakes in the grass. She went back for people who knew her, people she could trust, and people who weren't going to rat her out. I'm looking at you, John Tubman. But I thought you said she saved over 700 people. Round two. True or false? Harriet Tubman saved over 700 people on the Underground Railroad. False. She saved 700 people when she was a spy leading a military raid, okay? So let's get these facts all straight, okay? So no one's confused here. Starting at age 27, for 10 years, she went back and forth saving her friends and family, 70 people. After that, she lived the whole second part of her life where she was a spy for the Union and led a military raid to free over 700 people.
Family, this is very easily Googleable. You can look this stuff up. There's books. There's movies. I rebuke the movie that was just put out with Cynthia Erivo, though. I believe that's all a part of the plan. I believe these people are all a part of the plan. To be 100 with you. But the other brother made another good point that I want to touch on. These are the same people that's trying to run around here and steal Juneteenth. These are the same people that wants to shoehorn their way into our history only to say that the history didn't exist. Next thing you know, you will have a bunch of people running around here saying slavery never existed. It was all indentured servants, and you know that's what happened. These are the people that's trying to shoehorn their way into our lineage, into our whole culture and everything that we do. Let's go here, family.
Yo, so I stumbled upon the video of this chick basically saying that Harriet Tubman's not a real person. That sent me down the dankiest, darkest, stank-ass rabbit hole I've ever been down in my life, where I found an enclave of Black people, African Americans, on just some of the wildest fucking conspiracies. Y'all have to stop and actually get an education. Y'all are lagging behind. And then that's not even to bring up how the comments were playing out, because people were literally in the comments like, I knew Harriet Tubman wasn't real. And then some people are pushing that ideology further, and they're like, yeah, slavery is not real either. Bitch, what? Y'all need to stop, because what you don't realize is that these thought processes are like a river, and at some point the river that you're on connects with white supremacy concepts, because that's what happens in white supremacy. Oh, slavery is not even a real thing. Black people willingly were indentured servants. They don't deserve restitution. They don't deserve reparations. But God damn, this country doing a number to some of y'all niggas. Like, this country is fucking some of y'all niggas up. I've actually met niggas that believe that the earth is flat. No fucking lie. Blew my mind. If I come face to face with a nigga that say that they don't believe Harriet Tubman is real, I gotta get active, baby. I gotta knock you upside your head. Hopefully some synapses start firing inside of that empty ass skull that's supposed to have a brain rattling around. What is wrong with y'all?
I'm not gonna lie, family. I've met a couple of brothers and sisters who believe the earth is flat too. I am not gonna lie. However, they ain't running around here trying to force everybody else to believe the earth is flat. I tell them all the time, if you believe that, I want you to drive to the end of the earth and fall off. Call me when you get there. But over time, a lot of them have pulled back to reality. So it's hilarious, but it does happen. Some people do really believe the earth is flat, no matter what science says. So be careful. Be very wary of what people say. I want to go here because this sister broke this down tremendously and brought up many topics that should be looked at when you're trying to analyze the history of a foundational Black American.
All it takes is a phone, a bit of confidence, and a strong opinion. Discrediting centuries of scholarship with 60 seconds of baseless commentary. Social media has given everyone a mic, but volume is not the same as knowledge. Harriet Tubman's legacy is not up for debate. Changing your name after escaping slavery and being labeled a fugitive is a survival tactic. Harriet Tubman, born Araminta Ross, adopted the name Harriet after her mother and Tubman after her husband. This is well documented history, not conspiracy. In fact, many children's books and films refer to her early life nickname Minty, Minty from Araminta. Yeah. Her story is not some rumor passed down. It has been preserved in letters, interviews, archives. There are museums, landmarks, and curricula built on her legacy. You not knowing doesn't make it fiction. It just means it's a gap in your knowledge.
Damon, gotta stay on, gotta pay attention, brother. We got to stay on code. We got to stay at attention, family. And I don't mean the other attention. All right. I knew this was going to happen too. I was like, yeah, that's maybe I should select someone with a little less sex appeal in that dress. But, you know, that would be discrimination, and I ain't down for that. You dig me? Much love to our brother David. Let's let her continue.
So, yes, Harriet Tubman was very real. She was a revolutionary, a Union spy, a nurse, and a conductor of the Underground Railroad, which was not really underground, y'all. She freed around 70 people through her own missions and over 700 during the Combahee River Raid with the Union Army. That's nearly 800 lives changed forever. Dismissing her legacy because you don't know history is disrespectful to the generations who fought to make sure her story lived on. Harriet Tubman's life is one of the most documented and heroic stories in American history. History is not up for debate. It's a discipline. You cannot opinion your way out of facts.
Yeah, family. And, you know, she has a lot of different videos where she's, no matter what, she's dolled up. So, you know, you can go and find her if you want to, you know, binge watch some of her videotapes. Salute to William Aaron. I see you, man. This is what I'm saying. I got to start really being very selective. I don't want the message to get moved. Okay. She's fine. She is fine. I'll give you that. You dig me? Fine young lady. I'll give her that. You know what I mean? What was that Coming to America line? Mm-hmm. Now she fine. That's fine. She's fine. Let's go here, family.
Same story with them. Harriet Tubman's not real. Drop a name, inculcate you with a tale, and pull it back because it isn't real. Harriet Tubman was not her real name. Harriet Tubman was not even her real name. How do I know this? I know this because I'm founder and executive director of Saving Our Ancestors' Legacy, and this is the work that I have been doing for years. Every time we claim an ancestor's name, every time we reveal more of their truth, some ops is going to come in and mix it up on you. Nurse, cook, laundress, spy, freedom fighter, underground railroad conductor. Who does all that? We do. I do. You ever met a black woman in America? We do all that. Survival. That's us. That's what we do. Grandmothers, our mothers, our names. We change. You notice how some...
Salute to Foundational Black. Thank you for being here, family. What this young lady here is saying, or this sister here is saying, absolutely correct. Black women in itself, and I'm not removing this from black men either, but when we talk about the powers that black women have, the things that black women do, that black women are so multi-talented. They can walk, chew bubble gum with no problem. I just have to take time to say that. Black men, we're supposed to be built for that. But we see a lot of black women doing the same damn thing, and that's a superpower for them. I'm going to be 100.
Some things always stay the same. The jobs, the MLK and the Obama reference, pointing out her exact name in a newspaper article.
like shit isn't complicated. Like being on TikTok right now doesn't actually make you be in a position where you're using the same system that is used to oppress you. We're all used. It's all complicated. It's not them versus us. It's us and them. It's good to question, but if you always doubt, you have no underground to stand in for educational purposes only. And Africa doesn't exist because you've never seen a slave ship. For educational purposes only, no, actually for all educational purposes, we are not just ghosts or shadows or figments that you see in the dark. Y'all, what do we know? We know that our names get stolen, so we make new ones. Our stories get buried and scratched out of the record, so we sing them back up. That's what we do. They steal our souls, they erase us, and so we remember harder. We swim in the wake. We sit in the hold. We sleep in the slave dwellings and the sheds in the cemeteries of our ancestors. Who's afraid of us being more than a mask that they created, more than a role, more than a rumor? What does a powerful Black woman look like to you? Name one. Every time they dangle a riddle, every time they offer a new conspiracy, every time they tell you not to trust your own people, ask yourself, who's writing the script? Who's behind the ops? Who profits from what you're saying? They need us lost. It's an amnesiac.
Now, I do understand that woman be spewing some gender incorrect nonsense, the whole gender war type stuff sometimes. Sometimes she'd be spewing that whole, A, B, C, D, E, F, G stuff. However, I wanted to take what she said because, I'm going to be 100 with you. I don't like the fact that they try to minimize the power that our sister Harriett Tubman exhibited. For her to spend and dedicate her whole life, for her to spend and dedicate her whole damn life to embettering her people, being a spy, leading the charge on freeing 700 plus people while she was a spy. Before that, she was going back and forth just freeing her family and friends on the plantation, over 70 people. For her to dedicate her life to that is a superpower to me. And I don't like when people try to minimize what our ancestors have done for us, where a lot of them have clearly never had any type of people to idolize who've done the same type of things. Let's be very clear upon that. I want to go here because I want you to hear how this woman speaks about certain topics. So here she's saying, what happens when she became stateless? Well, who's stateless? I'm not stateless. Family, are any one of you stateless? Because I'm not stateless.
When you become a stateless person, you don't have rights to do anything. You do not have access to receive money unless it's cash through a bank account or anything like that, because they're going to ask you for ID and proof of who you are. You cannot go to school. You cannot receive health care because they're going to ask you for ID, like, who are you? And it's like fucked up, because this can happen to anybody. I'm trying to say this. At any point, can a government say, like, yeah, like, you're not really an American?
No. They can only do that if you're not really an American. What is this woman talking about? Because here's the thing. The 14th Amendment made sure to protect our rights as Americans, as foundational Black Americans in this country. So the only people that could be said not to be Americans are people who don't have American roots here, whose bloodline don't stem back to the slave field here. So yes, even some white people, a lot of Nabiscos can be said not to be American. But the only people who they can't never say is an American is foundational Black Americans. Yeah, it's sounding like that, ain't it? She's not of the lineage. I said what I said, and I ain't changing it. Say it with your chest in, Angelic. I'm with you, my sister. I am with you. Let's go.
Sorry. And you can say, no, I'm an American. Here's my birth certificate. Here's my parents' birth certificate. It's all from the United States. And say, yeah, nah. Because the moment that
Notice how she said, here's my birth certificate. Here's my parents' birth certificates. Okay, if you're an American, there's going to be a lot more documents that you're supposed to have. Right? I got a Social Security. I got a birth certificate. I've never been asked whether or not I'm an American. I've never been claimed to be a tether, or I have never been claimed to be someone who ran over here. So now I need all of these things. I'm just confused by her logic in all of this. Yeah, they're trying so hard to make us immigrants because they're scared. They're scared. We're not scared. We're the non-deportables. We're not stateless. And this is what this woman is talking about, being stateless. Interesting.
if they void your ID and your information, like, what do? You can't catch a flight. You can't go nowhere unless you do everything by under the table. And pretty soon we're not even going to be able to do that, because that's why they want to get rid of cash. That's why they want to get rid of change, because they say, the currency is not really needed anymore. We have technology. It's like, nah, what about the people who don't have access to a bank account? I know people who don't have a cell phone.
Family, do any of you not have access to a bank account or a cell phone, a credit union? Do any of you have to take underground flights, whatever the hell that means? I've never had those issues. Salute to LaShawn Kent. Thank you for being here, family, as well as Christopher Ellis. Thank you for being here, family. I've never had any of those issues. I never went to an airport and they said, oh, well, you don't have an identification, so yeah, we can't ID you. Even when I lost my ID in Vegas, I left. All right, story time. Real quick. It's a real quick story. I flew to Vegas with my brother early 2021. We went to celebrate the founding of my brother's business. And then we went to talk some business, you know, see if we can work with each other or whatnot. Now we're in Vegas. I had a hotel suite at the Stratus. It used to be called it's called the Stat now, but it used to be called the Stratosphere, right? And they didn't rebuild it and made it all beautiful and all this other stuff. So I stay at the Strat, and on my checkout day, I leave or drop my identification in the hotel room. I had already left out of the hotel room and closed the door. So I'm trying to get the people at the front desk to let me into the room so that I can look for my identification. Well, they declined me. Okay. So now I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do. So I'm sitting in the casino or whatnot, making phone calls, trying to see if I can get somebody to send me a copy of my ID or whatever. And then I get approached in the hotel/casino. And they say, well, sir, since you don't have your identification, we can't have you in the hotel. This is where I lost my ID, I tell them. And they say, sorry, sir, we don't know that for certain. And so we have to ask you to leave the hotel. So, pissed off, I said, okay, I'm just going to go to the airport. I went to the airport and I asked to speak to a manager. When I spoke with the manager, I told the manager this: I just came back from Vegas. I lost my identification in the hotel. They would not allow me to go search for my identification. The manager said this fast and in a hurry. Oh, well, do you know your social? And I said, yes, I know my social. Well, give me your information and we'll look you up. Not only did they do a background check on me real quick, they was able to pull up all my documents and then had me fill out a form and said, okay, sir, you're good. And I was able to board the plane. I said all that to say this. I've even been to the airport and didn't have my ID and still was able to get on the plane and go home. Why? Because they was able to pull up all my documents right there. Right at the airport. Good old TSA. Well, I don't want to say good old TSA, but you know, TSA. No, I ain't have no warrants. I was good. I was good. That's why I was so damn irritated by the whole situation. I thought they were going to like look me up and try to take me to the back. It was going to be a whole ordeal. Man, it took all of 5 to 10 minutes to do all of this. I made my flight and everything. Oh yeah, another good point. You can fill out application online and they will literally give you a free cell and a cell service. You're absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. I forget what those things are. Obama phones. You like, it makes no sense of what this woman is saying. No, the hotel never found my ID, but they ended up sending me a compensation card. So if I ever decide to go back to the hotel and forgive them for their transitions, then I will have about $500 to play, just to play. I'm still trying to figure out if I ever want to go back there. If y'all gave me this big of a problem for my ID, I don't think I want to be there. But yeah, let's let her continue.
And it's also dangerous because you can be trafficked when you are a stateless person because no one's looking for you. You're not in anyone's database, any country.
So who it sounds like she's talking about, family? When you're stateless, you can be trafficked because you're not in anyone's database. I'm in everyone's database. I got a ticket when I was, 17 years old. That damn ticket still pops up in the database. It's been paid and everything. So she can't be talking about us. Because when you're talking about a foundation of Black American, that database is everywhere. Black Spider, I feel you. I might just sell it off though. I know my other brothers, they're going to be going to Vegas pretty soon. So I might just go ahead and tell them, hey, go ahead and shoot me $350 and I'll give you this $500 card. I might not want to go there, but if my brothers want to go there, then go ahead and break me off and we can both make a little exchange here, buddy. You can see if you're going to win with it and I can go ahead and make a little something off of it. She's talking about an immigrant family. We shall see. Put a pin in that. We're going to get back to it.
So they don't know how the fuck to get to you. And it's insane, honestly. Because what are you supposed to do when you can't make money legally? Because your paperwork is expired or you don't have the right to renew it. They voided everything. What the fuck do you do?
I don't have that problem. Any of y'all have that problem? None of my family members have that problem. Do y'all have anybody in your family that has that problem? I don't have any issue getting a job here in America because all my paperwork comes back. I mean, it's clear you're not talking about foundational Black Americans here. It's clear you're not talking about foundational Black Americans. So before we continue, Everybody leave it in the chat. Where do y'all think she hails from? What is her origin? Her country of origin? While she's finishing up here.
So yeah, they work for these cartels. They become prostitutes, or they do like under the table stuff. The scariest thing too is if you are a stateless person, you got kids. If you give birth and you don't go to a hospital, and the hospital or the government doesn't know that that baby exists, when you go, like let's just say you do get citizenship or whatever, and you go to get them like their doctor's appointment, at least in the States, they're going to say like, we don't have paperwork on this child. It raises red flags to them immediately, and they will call CPS, bro, and they will have somebody like take your kid, even if you did nothing wrong. It's fucking scary. It really is.
All right, I'm getting a lot of the Caribbean. Haiti, Trinidad, Jamaica. Yeah, a lot of you think that she may be from Jamaica. But the consensus is mostly the Caribbean. The Bahamas, okay. Let's see. All right. And the answer is, ladies and gentlemen, St. Lucia. Definitely Caribbean. That's what I'm getting here, huh? Well, family, unfortunately, everybody's wrong. Nigerian. This is when she found out she was Nigerian.
Ever since I graduated high school, I have had Nigerian women come up to me and ask me, am I Nigerian? And I tell them no, because I'm not. My parents were born here too. And they would just look at me like, girl, you are Nigerian. At that time, I didn't know that I actually was Nigerian because I took a DNA test in 2017 and it said I'm 89% Nigerian. And I just laughed out loud. I was like, I'm so glad there is not a Nigerian woman behind me. I just know that they would light my ass up. Like, yeah, I was trying to tell you, because I just feel this bond with Nigerians, unspoken. I just know when it's a Nigerian. And I'm born and raised in the United States, like, but I'm just around them so much naturally with what I do, like at work or just on the street. I just happen to just continuously run into Nigerian women. The last encounter I had at work, the man told me that my nose is like a giveaway. And I was like, yeah, I figured. And he said my shoulders, my shoulders, I don't know. Maybe y'all can explain. But I was like, okay, my shoulders. And I was like, okay, like, so you just know off of that? He's like, yeah. I love when this happens, though. I think it's sweet. It's like a distant family member that's like, you're so-and-so. Like, I remember you. And it's just like, we've never met before, but instinctively, I just feel like a close connection.
And I feel the same way, Brother Reef. She just sat here and spoke about how she felt such camaraderie with all these Nigerians, especially in the work that she does. And she's always around Nigerians, but yet she just literally said we need to stop glorifying our icons, such as Harriett Tubman, Mother Tubman, as our brother Reef has so elegantly put it. These are the people that are clawing their ways into our spaces. These are the people that you got to ask, where are your people from? I noticed that you said both your parents were born here, but you ain't talking about their parents. Where their parents come from? Where's your mother parents from? Where's your father parents from? Because you do not sound like a foundational Black American when you're speaking about the history of foundational Black Americans. But it all makes sense when you put it into the perspective of them being tethers. Now, as they should, as we should, we came out and roasted her. Let her know how disrespectful she was being. Called her out on her shenanigans and her chicanery. And as they always do, she had to come and drop an apology. Let's go to it, family. Y'all tell me if she deserved forgiveness.
Hey, y'all. So I had made a video 2 weeks ago that is going viral because I had said that I found out Harriett Tubman was not a real person. So I want to first say that as a grown woman, it's my responsibility to call myself out on the very same platform that I ran my mouth. And y'all's feelings are valid, your frustration, your anger, because honestly, as a Black American, I should have been more responsible with what the fuck I said, because I understand that when you are a Black freedom fighter, it takes everything that you've got to even have the courage to stand the fuck. And as someone who too revolts against the same system that has enslaved Black Americans, I deeply and honestly, really, truly, from the bottom of my heart, did not mean to disrespect any sort of Black leaders of any kind. And I sincerely mean. What I wanted to say is the version from textbooks that we were given in our classrooms and the same government that once enslaved Black Americans, I have a right to question the education that they teach us. And I'm very weary and I'm very sensitive about what information I am learning. And my anger was inappropriately misdirected to the wrong person. My anger and frustrations were not on Harriett Tubman, and it should have been, or what I wanted to say is my frustration is towards the people who hold the pen and who leaves out truths. And it frustrates me. And honestly, like I said, I should have been more careful with my words. And I also should have been more clear and gone deeper with what I meant instead of just dropping it. I had to come on here and say something and make it right, because I would feel really bad about leaving people off and not at least apologizing for what I said and the confusion that it had made. Okay. So to everyone who saw me run my mouth in the first clip, I really do apologize for my behavior, the way that I came across. Okay. And this is something that I'm learning right now, is that, are you really thinking about what you're saying? And in the past, I had not. I just said shit without really thinking about it. And that's immature of me. I'm learning as I go. Take time to think about what you're saying. So I do want to apologize again for any confusion and disrespect that. So thank you for hearing me out, y'all. Appreciate it.
I'm going to be 100 with you, family. Damn that. Damn everything she just said. Because everything she just said is a complete contradiction and a complete cleanup of the last thing she said. Yes, you can make mistakes. Yes, people should show other people grace who make mistakes and who acknowledge their mistakes. But when you had the audacity to say what you said without doing a bit of any type of research that would have just combated that nonsense off the back, no, you will not be forgiven. No, we do not have to give you grace. We do not have to accept your apology, because if you really, really, really cared, you would have did the research before you got on your damn phone and came out here acting like a damn idiot and spreading your idiocracy to the masses, especially when you're not a foundational Black American. It would be even worse if you were, because then you would know the history. However, since you're not, it's most egregious that you didn't know the history and you refused to even research it before you went out spreading that tether babble. Let's be very clear about that. So no, you do not receive any forgiveness, especially, remember when I told y'all earlier in the broadcast, put a pin in that. Let's pull that pin on out. because I feel that this is all a psyop from the CIA. All of this. All of these tethers, notice every time somebody come out and say something stupid about one of our icons, it's a tether or somebody who's not a part of our community whatsoever. Do you guys remember this Asian chick?
Martin Luther King Jr. was a completely made-up character created by the FBI. And I know I'm going to get so much hate for this, but you cannot deny this is not the truth, because this is coming directly from the unclassified files that President Trump released. This is directly from the FBI website, that is vault.fbi.gov. This is where the unclassified document on Martin Luther King Jr., his image, and his assassination is uploaded. Just in the first 5 pages, it completely reveals how Martin Luther King Jr. was selected to be the activist leader and how they pushed it through mainstream media news to create their narrative. It states right there in the middle, I know it's kind of hard to read because the files are old. It says Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was the target of an intensive campaign by the FBI to neutralize him as an effective civil rights leader. And it also says this and other testimony describing this FBI counterintelligence campaign against King reached the public through the news media. Hold on. So create a narrative, hire an actor, and then use mainstream media to program it to become the truth. This is just more confirmation that this has been their playbook the entire time. If you're not following me, I encourage you to follow me, because I am going to continue to record short series to break it all down for you guys.
And Angelic, if you don't remember this, this was the woman who put that statement out. She put out that video. You just saw it. And our brother Arthur Watkins had to send her a cease and desist. And then she came out with a full apology video saying she didn't have all the context in which she was speaking on. So if you don't remember, you can actually go back, go to X and go to the search bar, type in MLK agent with Arthur Watkins' name, and there's going to be a whole slew of people that Arthur has been, you know, hitting with the cease and desist, but you'll come across this video as well. But family, she's not the only one. She's not the only one. They're literally running around here pushing narratives. And this is why we've been hitting people over the head left and right to kind of combat those narratives. But I assume the whole goal is to push these narratives and to use these content creators, tethers, and people from other communities to do it. Let me go here. This sister was actually breaking down.
I kept hearing where that he cheated and he cheated with a white girl. And that's not really true. But when people want to speculate about the infidelities, they want to know how much did she know? Because you can't be Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and be his wife without the acknowledgement of.
All right, my sister, drive safely now. You don't need to use your hands while you're driving. I got you. I love you. I want to make sure you're safe.
Of infidelities. But when I started looking into this, like reading about him, because I really wanted to know more about his life and Coretta's life outside of just the rumors and the stuff that I learned when I was like a child, what I found out instead was that this wasn't a scheme by Todd, but it was a scheme by J. Edgar Hoover. So J. Edgar Hoover hated Dr. King so much, like to the point where he wanted to essentially have this guy's life ended. He wanted him to unalive himself because what Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was doing, what the civil rights movement was accomplishing, was against everything that he stood for. And so to do that, he started to tape his conversations over like half a decade. Seriously, he was recording conversations at his house, at his office, not just his office, but recording the conversations of his friends, his colleagues, other people, because he was just so convinced that he would be able to find something nefarious. But not only that, he started putting out rumors. There were rumors that Harry Belafonte was having an affair with Coretta Scott King, but then also vice versa, that Dr. King was having an affair with Marguerite Belafonte, Harry's first wife. And
my sister Mia, make sure that it's locked, loaded, and ready to go, because you might have to drill some things into the wall. Just be careful, family. Just be careful. If you need some help, throw something out there so we can make some phone calls. Let's go back here.
And so to me, you hate this guy so much because when you open this door, people are going to look at you as well, right? And to find out that essentially J. Edgar Hoover was possibly a closeted man. So thinking of that time frame and all of the hate that...
Not just possibly, he was. There are many pictures of this man cross-dressing and all this other stuff. J. Edgar Hoover. Let me make sure I put this all the way up and make sure I say this very clear. J. Edgar Hoover was Tyler Perry before Tyler Perry was Tyler Perry. Except he didn't work in films. He worked in government.
Was built up, plus probably some internal hate. You tried taking this out on this man who's doing so much good. And not only that, his family. You wanted to mess up his family. And so at the end of the day, when anyone would ask Coretta, did he cheat on you? Do you think he cheated on you? Do you think because of the FBI recordings and the rumors that he had an affair? She said absolutely not. If he would have had an affair, he would have told me. If he would have had an affair, he would have felt so guilty that he would have come to me, because whenever he is overcome with guilt, he just confesses, because deep down inside, he ain't that guy. He ain't that guy at all. So I found that to be very interesting. And truthfully, I think that she might have believed that, or she might have felt otherwise. But what does it benefit you and I, and especially what they were doing in the civil rights movement, especially in that time, if she would have come out and said, yes, he did cheat on me. Yes, I know about it. If that were an inclination, if that were a reality, if that were a thought in her mind, people are too distracted to have been able to process that reality and be mature adults and continue the movement. They would have wallowed in that. And so you have to remember to keep the main thing the main thing. I think that's what she was doing. And truthfully, that was between her and hers. So I never knew this though. Again, like I said, I kept hearing about the rumors, but I never knew anything deeper than that. But did y'all? Tell me what you know. And if you're curious anything about Dr. King and Coretta, especially how she viewed him, I would head to the two of you, pull up this week's episode. I'm diving all into her perspective of her husband this week. It's been really, really fascinating. Oh, and don't forget to follow and come back for more Love Black History.
Now, family, notice all of these rumors, quote unquote, are all the narratives that was pushed out of the CIA, pushed out of the FBI. These were all things that were literally pushed by J. Edgar Hoover, and all of these people are picking it back up. And that's why I played the video with the sister who was saying at some point, you're being used. You didn't circle all the way back to the lies that the FBI put out, and now you're pushing that same white supremacist propaganda as if it's new information, and it isn't. It is a lie, and that's why nobody gives that lie any credence, because of the fact we know it's a lie. And also, when people ask me, well, how do you know he wasn't cheating? I don't care if he was or not. His wife said he wasn't. I'm going to go with what his wife said. I believe Coretta. Especially with this day-to-days going on, him being watched every single day since he started the civil rights movement and started I don't want to say he started, but he started his work in the civil rights movement. He was being watched every single day. If they had evidence of him doing something, they would have already put it out. The same reason why they don't give us reparations. Because if they thought we was going to spend it all up, they would have already gave it to us, knowing that money would go back into the white supremacist power structure. So if the FBI had anything on Dr. Martin Luther King, you bet your bottom dollar that they would have literally put it out already. It would be public knowledge. Salute to Randall Robinson. Thank you for being here, family, as well as Anita Harrell. Thank you, Shalom, for being here, my sister. Thank you for being here. But this isn't the only. I'm just trying to remind you guys this play. I want to go here.
Of the stories the documentaries and YouTubers claim, it is very true that the CIA controls religious leaders. For years they made us believe he was but we find many clues and much evidence he wasn't. Malcolm X, allegedly born Malcolm K. Little in Nebraska. Later, a man by the name of Louis E. Lomax introduced Malcolm X to the masses.
Today's Black History Month, FYI salutes the first black television journalist, Louis Lomax. He first reported for black newspapers as the first black journalist on television, and a year later he became the first person on TV to interview the legendary Malcolm X, who would only sit down with Lomax.
Lomax got an idea about doing a movie exploring the life of Malcolm X earlier in his career. He had teamed up with another young reporter named Mike Wallace to do a series on Malcolm X and the Nation of Islam that was titled The Hate That Hate Produced.
Mean that the white man by nature is evil. By nature he is evil. He cannot do good.
We know the CIA is behind the leaders that are propped up on TV, so as we check the Daily Report, foreign radio broadcasts, looking for the man responsible for introducing Malcolm X to the public, we see Louis Lomax being listed as a CIA agent. It says, Louis Lomax, who is known not only as a journalist, but also as an agent of the CIA. This is a clear example of how entertainment props up its agents.
Today's Black History Month, FYI salutes the first black television journalist, Louis Lomax.
Like most agents, once they finish their goal they're normally given a fake death and removed from the project. The story is Lomax died in a car accident around the time he was working on a documentary concerning the role played by the FBI in the death of Malcolm X. So once again, they're creating conspiracies to leave fear and a trail of questions from the public. But Lomax himself was an agent, and a CIA agent would never work against the group that employs him. So Lomax's death was another scripted death.
Are you guys picking up the narrative that they're trying to put down? So because this man, or they claim this man was a CIA agent, and Malcolm X gave his first interview to this man, and he was the introduction of Malcolm X, I guess you could say, they say, that now Malcolm X is a CIA transplant. He's a asset, so to speak, is what they're saying.
The removal of an agent. Also COINTELPRO, the counterintelligence program started in 1956. The American public first became aware of Malcolm X in 1957, right on time.
Story of hatred for the white man is carried in many Negro newspapers. Here you see their minister Malcolm X proudly displaying 5 of the biggest Negro papers in America.
Here we see the CIA behind this broadcast fueling racism, in which they're also behind the KKK doing the same, the head Masonic leaders dividing the public and getting rich doing it. They were all being played.
Their consuls or attorneys must be paid.
So family, I'm just showing you this oppish behavior that's taken place when talking about our icons, people that we hold in high esteem.
About Malcolm X though.
Listen, Malcolm X kind of like.
Now, to my knowledge, 607 Unc is like Ghanaian or something like that. I think he might be half, because when I looked it up, it was saying that he has African American and African genes from Ghana. So at this point in time, I'm going to say that he's a tether regardless, because what he's doing is tether activity, whether he is half or not.
He want to be a leader. Anybody, he full of himself. He full of ego. He was full of everything. He got mad because he could fuck all the bitches. He got mad because he found out that Master Louis Farrakhan got a little. Right? He mad because Master Louis Farrakhan got a little. Right? That's what he mad about, because he want to get a little too.
Right.
Right? All them is weird. They all are sold. They all sold. They sold, gang. They sold out. They work for money. They work for fame. They don't work for God. I work for God, gang. You can tell. I do it. Yeah, fuck all the kings. And Malcolm X too.
Yeah, salute and shout out to Carl for President Anthony. Thank you for being here, family. Let me be very clear. I'm with you 100-fold. Whether I know if he's a tether or not, that's not even the case. I do know he's a 100% Sambo. In every goddamn thing that this man is in, this dude is doing some old Sambo ass stuff. So yeah, I just want to show you the narrative. This is a narrative being pushed, family. This is a narrative. This isn't just people coming out who's ignorant. No, these people, in my opinion, are being given the walking papers to do what they're doing. I'm going to go here. We're going to look over this article. Let me pull this down real quick. We're going to go over this article. How CIA, FBI, and British spies infiltrate movie, music, art, and more. Let's get into it. The U.S. government has been pulling the lever behind the scenes in Hollywood for decades, from backing Louis Armstrong's jazz to funding the animated movie Animal Farm 1954, and more recently Transformer and Iron Man. The propaganda comes in many disguises, including patriotic musical lyrics, comic books, and even abstract expressionist art. Sometimes the spin is so subtle, audiences don't even notice spies are calling the shots. American operatives aren't the only propaganda artists in the world, of course. They just happen to be more talented than most. Let's get here. Animated capitalism. The CIA secretly funded the classic movie Animal Farm in 1954, bankrolling American film producer Louis D. Rochmont. He produced a brilliant piece of Cold War anti-communist propaganda about a barnyard revolution, an allegory recounting events of the Russian Revolution with a very different ending than George Orwell's 1945 book. Sonia Orwell granted the rights of her late husband's work with one condition. She wanted to meet Clark Gable. She wanted to meet Clark Gable. That was her only condition. Hey, I'll let you have my husband's works. You can remake it, whatever you want to do with it. But you got to put me in a room with Clark Gable. That was her condition. Salute to Keep It On Nation. Thanks for your Cash App donation, family. And your donation is blessed tenfold. Thank you for your contribution. Animal Farm is among the most important works in animation in British cinema history. The film was widely praised. The British out Disney reads. One headline. Modern art as a Cold War weapon. I want to get to this here. Let's go here. Hollywood spies. The CIA have been working with Hollywood since the agent's inception in 1947, offering advice and access to Langley HQ for those who portray the agents favorably. Homeland, Zero Dark 30, and Black Hawk Down Productions are among the collections. The CIA even had a script approved during the filming of the TV series The Americans. While shooting the Tom Clancy thriller, The Sum of All Fears, CIA Films liaison, yes, the agency has a film liaison, Chase Brandon, advised on the set, and he was also frequently around during the shooting of Atlas, the espionage series, starring Gardner. Gardner even filmed a CIA recruitment video. Ben Affleck's Oscar-winning Argo was the first movie permitted to film inside Langley. Let's get here. FBI film consultants. When director Henry Alex Rubin asked the FBI to overlook a draft script for his 2012 cyber drama Disconnected, he expected a few fact-checking corrections. Instead, the FBI suggested changing to a scene where two agents aggressively questioned a journalist. Like the CIA, the FBI aims to polish its image by consulting on projects like Miley Cyrus' film So Undercover and the Watergate biopic Mark Flett, The Man Who Brought Down the White House. The FBI has had an uneasy relationship with Hollywood. Former director J. Edgar Hoover was obsessed with rooting out communists and censoring movies. So this is a practice of J. Edgar Hoover. This man has been on Hollywood's head for a while, and he's been on what? The civil rights leaders for a while. But now, hold on, let me finish this. We're going to go there. Even Jimmy Stewart's holiday classic, It's a Wonderful Life, was considered Soviet propaganda at one stage. Now, I'm reading this because there's a very important point to make. The CIA have assets in Hollywood, just like they have assets in social media. The CIA, this is why we can never get a movie that represents foundational Black Americans in the manner that it should. And then they go get these tethers from outside of the country to play these predominant roles like Harriett and Cynthia Erivo. Salute the Lemonade. Thank you for being here, family. Like Martin Luther King, and I forget the guy who played him in Selma. But this is why they go and get these other folks who are not foundational Black Americans, because they are ops. They are agents of these people, whether they know it or not, because you're not going to ride for our lineage the way we're going to ride for our lineage. Let's be very clear about that. That is the biggest problem. Salute to Lawrence. We share a name. Thank you for your Cashapp, family. Your donation is blessed tenfold. Thank you for being here as well. This is what it is. I want to... Britain's Secret War Propaganda Board. This is a very, very important part. I want to get through this propaganda piece here. Sir Arthur Conan, is that a O or a? Let's say Doyle, because it looks like A, looks like it could be O. Didn't just write Sherlock Holmes. Oh, Doyle, of course. Didn't just write Sherlock Holmes detective stories. He wrote propaganda for the British during World War I. The government asked Conan to help with the war effort, so he wrote a national appeal to arms. The UK also enlisted other predominant writers for His Majesty's government's war propaganda board. More than 50 of British leading authors, including H.G. Wells and Thomas Harding, also signed an author's declaration and manifesto declaring that the German invasion of Belgium was a crime and that Britain could not idly stand by. Let me see here. There was a piece that I really wanted to read to you. Oh, yeah, here we go. Jazz Baby Jazz. This is the piece that I want to read, because if you don't know an agent who's a foundational Black American can still use their power or leverage in order to keep things or push things into a different dynamic. During the 1960s and 1970s, the U.S. State Department had a strategy to introduce American music internationally. Winning audiences over as ideological Cold War allies in the process. The David Brubeck Jazz Quartet, performed in Poland, Eastern Europe, the Middle East, Central Asia, and the Indian subcontinent. Music legend Louis Armstrong and Dizzy Gillespie were jazz ambassadors in Africa and Asia, promoting America as a symbol of racial progress. The plan, didn't always work. Armstrong criticized President Dwight Eisenhower during the 1957 school desegregation criticism. I am tripping out. I'm sorry. Crisis. I don't know why. My eyes are blurring and all kind of stuff. So forgive me, family. I've been staring at computer screens all day, so my eyes do that sometimes. 1957 school desegregation crisis in Little Rock, Arkansas, when the National Guard prevented Black students from integrating into Little Rock High School. Armstrong even abandoned his ambassadorship periodically to drive home his point. See, that right there shows somebody who still gave a damn about his people, even though he was working for the American government at the time. They were sending him to Africa and to Asia to try to say, look how progressive we are as Americans. America should be the moral compass of the world. We should be the leaders of the free world as well as your world because we're so progressive. And it was people like Louis Armstrong that was saying, hell no, look at the way you're treating us. I'm not going to put on some damn show because you want to send me around the world. No. Matter of fact, let me go ahead and hand you back this ambassadorship until you get on the good foot. And it says that he did it periodically. That means he did it more than once. And this is why the CIA, the FBI, Hollywood, they don't want us in these positions to where we can actually utilize that kind of power, where we can actually say, hey, none of that happened. That's not historically correct. What are you talking about? Oh no, I'm not gonna rock with this until y'all get this historically correct. They're not gonna do that. And that's why they go and get all these different people from everywhere else. And when I say I feel, I believe, and I assume that all of these different people on social media who's been coming out stating all of this nonsense, when I say that I truly, truly believe that they are working for the CIA, this is a narrative that they're told to be pushed because we've already brought to light how both parties pay content creators to say good things about their parties. We just saw how Kamala Harris was paying all these content creators to make Kamala look better or to make people think that she had black grassroots support. And she didn't. They're still using these people today, I guarantee you. So when I looked it up, family, I looked it up. And this answer came up when I asked the question, are the three-letter organizations working with social media influencers? And it says, yes. It's true that the CIA have been actively using social media content creators, including influencers, in its recruitment efforts. The agency have launched targeted social media campaigns on platforms like YouTube and Hulu, aiming to attract the next generation of officers. These campaigns utilize various tactics, including recruitment ads featuring CIA officers and showcasing the agency's mission and responsibility. See what I'm saying, family? These people are paid. These people are ops. These people are truly agents, in my opinion. Yes, Roland Martin was paid. And now he's running around here talking about people being paid as if he wasn't getting money stuffed into his fat ass pockets. But in my most humble opinion, my family, this is what's going on. This is what's going on. We have content creators, tethers, and all kinds of people linking up with these three-letter agencies to downplay our heroes, people we hold in high esteem, and people we stand on the shoulders of. So it's very important to keep an eye out for this stuff. Because now that I'm seeing it more and more, I used to say this all the time. I used to call people agents back in the day when they would say something that was off code. But that was just me making it clear to them that you sound like an agent. At this point in time, I believe all of these people truly are agents, not just sounding like agents. People who are being paid to push a certain propaganda, and it is streaming all throughout the internet. That's my humble opinion, family. That's just me. But that is my assessment. But if you're not subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button along with the notification bell so you can be notified whenever videos like this drop. Please make sure you're hitting that like and share button so we can beat up the algorithm. Make sure we get this message out to the ears that need to hear. And if you have not done so yet, please click the link in the description, go to change.org, and put your signature on the petition for reparations. Family, when I say that these folks don't really apologize because I believe that everything that they're saying is deliberate, I'm going to play this one more time. I'm not even going to play it all the way through. I'm just going to play certain parts. I wanted to get to a certain part, but I want y'all to listen to every single thing that she says. And then remember what she said when she was apologizing and tell me if it totally contradicts everything that she's saying here.
Ever since I found out Harriett Tubman is not a real person, it fucked me up. Not gonna lie. Because her real name is Araminta Ross. And she was a spy for the United States government. Her real name, Araminta, is not connected to the Harriett Tubman. And Sojourner Truth's real name is Isabella Bumfrey. Same thing, was also a spy. Yeah, if they were published in American history and it was Black history, they were spies, bro. They've been trafficking people. Underground. It's all underground. And they want us to look up and idolize these people. Oh, well, they look just like me, so I must look up to them. Stop that shit immediately.
Now, family, does that sound like agent activity to you? Even with that nonsensical apology she put down. That apology, she was basically trying to say, oh, you know, I just didn't mean it. I'm just saying that we should be looking deeper into. No. You literally said we need to stop supporting the people who brought us to where we are today. That was your whole assessment. So no, I don't find her apology to be whatsoever genuine. I find everything that you're doing to be deliberate. And you're guilty of disrespecting our elder who made sure to forward her people. So maybe you need to take that nonsense back over there to Nigeria. Maybe you can find the other 14% or so of your Nigerian bloodline. But family, with that being said, the doors of the church are now closed. I would like to thank everybody for being here. Thank you for everybody who have donated on the Cashapp and the Super Chats. Thank you to all my mods and all my members, because without y'all, I don't exist. So I do thank you every time I get a chance. I'm going to thank you. So get used to it. But with that being said, family, the doors of the church are closed. Peace.
My grandfather built this country, man. He fought wars for it. And most places he went wouldn't let him sit down and get a cup of coffee. I can't even catch a cab in New York. You know, it doesn't matter how many degrees I get. All you people see is color. Your grandfather was an immigrant. You're American. My grandfather was born here, Duke. And you people still look at me as just another nigga.
I know that the government, whatever, can't stand us black people. He's doing everything in the world to make black man big. extinct. But I'm gonna tell you one thing, us black people gonna survive. So fuck everybody. I'm out.